Okay, here are some examples of problems in 4.8 solving equations with fractions. So the first one we're going to look at is we're going to take and say x plus 2/3 equals -3/5. Okay. All right, so to solve this, what we need to do is get rid of this 2/3. So let's subtract 2/3. Gotta start that and do erase. And subtract 2/3 here. All right, so on the left we just have x. Over here we have a minus 3/5 minus 2/3. Well, here we don't have a common denominator, so we can't add. So we need to find what is the LCD. Well, the LCD is going to be 3 times 5, which is equal to 15. So now what we need to do is get both of these to have the common denominator of 15. So we have to multiply the first one by 3/3, and we have to multiply the second fraction by 5/5. So when we do that, we have a -3 times a positive 3 rather, and that's going to give us a -9/15 minus 2 times 5, which is 10/15. Now, minus 9 minus 10 more is going to be minus 19/15, and so that's what our x is equal to. Now, this one doesn't say to use proper or improper fractions, but because everything appears just as a normal fraction, I'm assuming that we could use the improper fraction. But if that is not the case, we can easily convert to a mixed fraction. So we divide that, that goes in once, subtract, we have 4. That's going to be 4/15, and our answer is negative. And so we could say it's either -19/15 or a -1 4/15. So that works if they want it as a mixed fraction, and otherwise that's going to be your answer as the improper fraction. All right, so let's say we have a little more complicated one now. Let's say we have a -4/9 x equals, and we have 8/21. Now, really, this isn't any more complicated. All we have to do is multiply by reciprocals. And so what we need to do is figure out what it is the reciprocal of the thing on the left here. Well, the reciprocal of this is going to be -9/4. So if we take a -9/4 times the -4/9x, and that's equal to 8/21 times a -9/4. What do we get? Well, all of that cancels on the left, and we just get x. On the right, well, 4 will go in here once, but it'll go in here twice. Now 3 will go in here 3 times, and it'll go in here 7 times. So we have a 2 times a -3, so that's a -6. 7 times 1 is 7, and that should be our answer. And again, as with all of these, I'm not going to show the check on every one, but if you go back in and you check it, you can see that -6/7 is the correct answer to this. All right. Let's do some more examples. One that's similar to the one we just did here. How about we do -9/16x equals 27/32. Well, since I was nice and left myself space on this one, what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply by the reciprocal, which is a -16/9. And so I'm going to multiply this by a -16/9. And this one nicely works out even better than the last one. 16 goes in here once, and here twice. 9 goes in here once, and this is 3 times. So x equals 3 times -1, so it's a -3. 2 times 1 is 2. And so we get a -3/2. And we can have that, or if they want, we can have a -1 1/2 if they decide they want it as a mixed fraction. Either way works. I think this problem, actually, the -3/2 should probably be the correct way to put that in. All right. What about one where we have something like 3/2 minus 2x/5 equals x/3 minus 1/5. this time, let's say we want to clear all the fractions. So instead of just um, uh, trying to add things left and right and do common denominators, let's clear the fraction. So to clear the fraction on this one, what we have to do is we have to find out what is the LCD of all the fractions here. So we've got a 2, we've got a 5, we've got a 3, and we've got another 5. So it's going to be 2 times 3 times 5. So 6 times 5, that's going to be 30. So what we need to do is we need to take 30 times 3 over 2 minus 2x over 5, and then take 30 times x over 3 minus 1 over 5. Okay. So when we do that, we have to distribute. And so we'll take this times that, and then we'll take this and that. So we'll have 30 times 3 halves minus 30 times 2x over 5 equals 30 times x over 3 minus 30 times 1 over 5. Now, when we reduce all of these, we'll get rid of all the fractions. 2 will go in here once. That'll go in here 15 times. 5 will go in here once. It'll go in here 6 times. 3 will go in here once, 10 times. 5 will go in here once, and that'll go in 6 times. So now we have 15 times 3, it's 45. And then minus 6 times 2, which is 12x. And then that equals, here we have 10x, and here we have minus 6. All right, so now what are we going to do? Well, I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to say, let's add 12x to both sides, and let's add 6 to both sides. So when I do that, those cancel, and I'm left with here 22x, and over here I'm going to have 51. Yeah, just 51. All right, so now when I divide by 22, x then is 51 over 22, and that then is my answer to this equation. Now I could go ahead and plug it all back in, and when I do, that will check out. Again, when you're doing these, you always want to go back in and check, but that takes time, and all I want to do is show you how to get to that actual final number there. All right, so the next one. We have a couple of application problems. This one says the US and Russia agreed to cut nuclear arsenals of long-range nuclear weapons by about a third, down to 1,550. How many long-range nuclear weapons are there now? All right, so let's say X equals number of long-range weapons now. And so if we take 1/3 of that, what we're going to get is 1,550, because we want a third of the total number is going to give us the current number of what they say we're going down to of 1,550. So what do? Well, we have to multiply by the reciprocal, which is 3 over 1. And so then x is equal to, well, now we just take 1,550 times 3. So that's 0, that's 15, that's 16, that's 4. So 4650 is going to be nuclear weapons now. Okay, so that's going to be our number of nuclear weapons now. So if we take a third of that, we should get 1,550. So if we divide that by 3, we should get back to the number 1,550. All right, another triangle problem. So here it says the area of a triangle is 44 square inches. If the length of the base is 5 1/2 inches, find the height of the triangle. All right, so what do we have? Well, we have a triangle. We need the height. We know the base is 5 1/2 inches. And we know the area is equal to 44 inches squared. And we know the area of a triangle is 1/2 base times height. So we just plug in what we know. Area 44 equals 1/2, and then we times base. Well, we know it's going to have to be an improper fraction, so let's just get it there first. So 2 times 5 is 10, plus 1 is 11, so it's going to be 11 halves, and then times h. Well, now we can simplify and say, well, that's 44 equals 11 over 4h. Now to solve for h, we have to multiply by 4 over 11, which is the reciprocal of this, so multiply this by 4 over 11. Well, those all cancel, so on the right we get h. Over here, that'll go in once, that'll go in 4. So now we just take 4 times 4, and that's 16. So our height is equal to 16 inches. Now if we plug that into here, up on the top, 16, half of 16 is 8. Then we take 8 times 11 is 88, divided by 2 is going to be 44. And so 16 inches is the correct height there. All right, so that's all I have for the extra exercises. If you have any questions, please let me know.